The first thing I noticed wasn't the silence. It was my neighbor Emily dropping an armful of groceries, kicking off her sandals without thinking, and sprinting barefoot across the yard with tears streaming down her face. She kept shouting my name like someone trying to stop a train before it disappeared forever. 6 months at sea had prepared me for storms, towering waves, and lonely nights beneath endless stars, but nothing prepared me for the look in her eyes when she reached me and whispered, "Thank God, you're really alive." If you've ever wondered whether one moment can change 2 lives forever, stay with me. Some people believe home is simply a place waiting where you left it. Others discover that home changes while you're gone, carrying secrets, heartbreak, and unexpected hope. I thought I was coming back to my quiet little neighborhood after another routine contract aboard a cargo vessel, ready for hot coffee, familiar streets, and a week of uninterrupted sleep. Instead, I walked into a mystery that had been growing for 6 long months without me. Before we begin, if you enjoy emotional and inspiring stories like this, make sure to support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories of kindness, hope, and humanity. My name is Nathan Brooks, and for the past 12 years, the ocean had been my second home. Working aboard merchant ships paid well, but every contract demanded sacrifices. Birthdays were missed. Holidays disappeared into endless horizons. Phone calls depended on weak satellite signals, and sometimes weeks passed without hearing another familiar voice. Still, I convinced myself the loneliness was temporary. Each return home reminded me why I kept going. Our neighborhood wasn't extraordinary. Identical houses lined quiet streets shaded by old maple trees. Kids rode bicycles until sunset, neighbors waved while mowing lawns, and everyone somehow knew everyone else's business before dinner. I lived alone in the small blue house my late parents had left me. Across the street lived Emily Carter. Emily had moved in 3 years earlier after her divorce. She wasn't loud or outgoing. She smiled politely, baked cookies every Christmas, and always remembered birthdays. We weren't close friends, but over time our conversations grew longer. Sometimes she watered my flowers while I was away. Other times I'd fix a broken fence or replace a porch light for her before leaving on another voyage. People constantly teased us. "You two are practically married already," old Mr. Jenkins laughed one afternoon. Emily would roll her eyes. "We're just neighbors." I'd laugh too, pretending that answer didn't sting more than it should. The truth was simple. I'd fallen for her months after she moved in. I just never found the courage to say it. Every departure became harder because she was always there waving from her porch until my taxi disappeared around the corner. Every return felt brighter because somehow she always knew exactly when I'd arrive, even though I never told her my schedule. This last contract had been different. A violent storm in the Pacific damaged our communication systems. Families received delayed updates, and rumors spread online after another cargo ship in the region disappeared during similar weather. We eventually repaired enough equipment to continue safely, but communication remained almost impossible. I had no idea what people back home had been hearing. The taxi driver pulled away after helping unload my bags. The afternoon air smelled like fresh-cut grass and summer rain. Home. I stood quietly, breathing it in. Then Emily appeared. She stepped onto her porch carrying grocery bags. Her eyes met mine. Everything froze. The bags slipped from her hands. Oranges rolled across the driveway. A carton of eggs shattered on the sidewalk. She didn't even notice. She ripped off her sandals and ran barefoot across the hot pavement, tears pouring down her cheeks. "Nathan." I barely had time to drop my backpack before she crashed into me, wrapping both arms around my shoulders so tightly I almost lost my balance. Her whole body shook. "I thought." She whispered through sobs. "I thought I'd never see you again." I hugged her carefully. "I'm okay." She pulled back only enough to look at my face, touching my cheek as though making sure I wasn't some cruel illusion. "They said your ship disappeared." "What?" "The news, social media, people kept posting names." Her voice broke again. "Someone said there were no survivors." I stared at her. "Our ship never disappeared." "We didn't know that." For several seconds neither of us spoke. Cars drove past. Birds chirped overhead. The ordinary world continued while ours stood perfectly still. Emily suddenly realized she was still holding me. Her cheeks turned crimson. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. She looked down. I prayed every single night. Something inside my chest tightened. Every single night. She quickly wiped away her tears and forced a nervous smile. I made a complete fool of myself. You definitely surprised me. She laughed through another tear. I guess I did. Together we picked up her scattered groceries. Most of the eggs were ruined. One orange had rolled beneath my mailbox. When everything was gathered again, she hesitated. I kept your mail. My mail. She nodded. I figured someone should. Inside her house she returned carrying a neat stack of envelopes tied with blue ribbon. You organized them. You'd hate opening 6 months of mixed-up bills. I couldn't stop smiling. You really didn't have to. I wanted to. As she handed them over, I noticed something else. My front yard looked different. The grass was perfectly trimmed. Flower beds bloomed with colors I'd never planted. Even the porch swing had fresh paint. I don't remember leaving my house looking this nice. Emily suddenly became fascinated by the ribbon around the envelopes. Well, you did this. It wasn't only me. What do you mean? She looked embarrassed. Some neighbors helped. Why? Her smile disappeared. Because they thought no one would come back to take care of it. Those words landed harder than any wave I'd faced at sea. People truly believed I was gone. Mr. Jenkins wandered over from next door carrying his newspaper. His eyes widened. I'll be. He hurried forward and shook my hand so hard my shoulder nearly popped. Son, it's really you. I guess it is. He removed his cap. I attended your memorial. My what? Emily closed her eyes. Oh no. There wasn't a funeral, Mr. Jenkins explained quickly. Just folks gathering in the park after hearing the reports. We thought. He swallowed. We thought we'd lost you. I couldn't process what I was hearing. A memorial. For me. While I was still crossing the Pacific. Emily quietly said, I never believed it. Both of us looked toward her. Everyone kept telling me to accept it, she continued softly. They said there was no point hoping anymore. And you? I refused. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. I couldn't say goodbye without seeing you one last time. The neighborhood suddenly looked different. Every freshly painted fence. Every trimmed hedge. Every smile from passing neighbors. They hadn't simply maintained my property. They'd been honoring someone they believed would never return. I walked slowly toward my porch. A small wooden wind chime hung beside the door. I'd never owned one. It was Emily, Mr. Jenkins said with a grin. She said your porch sounded too quiet. Emily covered her face. Please stop telling him everything. But I wanted to hear everything. Every small detail. Every act of kindness. Every reason she had refused to let my house become abandoned. Because with every answer, one question grew louder inside my heart. If she'd fought this hard to hold on to hope, was she waiting for more than just a neighbor to come home?